It's the Opposite Podcast.
And now your host,
Opposite.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be coming from, and wherever you may be going to. We wish you safe journeys and safe passage, and welcome you to the Papa Sith Podcast.
All right.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Papa South Podcast. We got a good show for you today. We'll be talking a little Highlander reboot. We'll be talking some Godzilla, a little Dread, some other topics here. Today, I'd like to welcome my distinguished guest, Chris from the Neon Tardis podcast. He gave me my start with streaming. It's so appreciated and definitely fitting for you to be my first guest. So thank you for joining along today.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here and cause havoc. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Day's going well?
Yeah, not too bad, man. It's a nice warm English day here. So it's been good. Been good so far.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Without further ado, let's get into our first one here, and we will be talking the Highlander reboot featuring Henry Cavill. Got a little article I want to pull up here. So
Cavill's doing quite a fair bit, isn't he? He's got a Warhammer 40k series on the go, I thought. Highlander.
That he does. I think he really needs a win. If anybody needs a win in this world, it's going to be him.
In a world of Pedro Pascal's, being Henry Cavill.
Don't you know it? That's right. We don't need the Pedro Pascal starring Pedro Pascal. No, starring Pedro Pascal. Oh, let's take a look-see at what we got here. Article from Deadline. Amazon UA Scott Stubler in final negotiations to land Highlander rights Henry Cavill to star with Chad Stahelski directing. Chad Stahelski being the director of John Wick.
Okay.
Franchise familiar to all of us, and also a screenplay by Michael Finch, who did John Wick 4. Now there can only be one, and in the case of the last remaining new home, that one Amazon MGM Studios, of course, leaving Legendary. Sources tell Deadline artist Scott Stuber are finally in negotiations to secure the rights of the new Highlander based on the 1980s cult classic. Will star Henry Cavill, of course, with John Wick director Chad Stahelski, and the screenplay once again by Michael Finch, who did John Wick 4. Be producing along 8711 Entertainment. Stahelski's production banner UA has secured full rights to the franchise, which Lionsgate developed. Sorry, it was Lionsgate, not Legendary, with potential to develop new series. God knows they've had so many series with the Highlander. A whole bunch of movies to go along with it. Obviously, the first movie starred Christopher Lambert, one of my favorites, married to a certain Miss Diane Lane. Again, her pronouns are her and she. For any of you Dread fans out there, you'll be getting that. Yeah, so the article just kind of goes through, talking about the rights for MGM, and they're also developing the Warhammer 40,000 franchise that Chris alluded to. I'm not a huge Warhammer person. My last experience with Warhammer was painting little tiny cast iron figures.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you ever got into
I did a tiny bit, but I'll be honest, I'm not into. I'm more into the lore and stuff. I play a little bit of 40k Martyr on the PC. That's a great kind of Diablo clone. So, and from the looks of it, though, they're going a bit. I hate using the word, but they're going a bit woke, aren't they? At Games Workshop, so kind of female space marines, all this kind of stuff. They're really kind of jamming it in there. So, shout out to the fandom, ever suffering fandoms that just keep getting absolutely just mullered by this stuff. But
yeah, go ahead.
No, come on, go.
I was just agreeing with you on that. But definitely, and we'll get into the woke thing later with a little article about John Lithgow and how that's affecting everything in the industry, and his thoughts on J.K. Rowling and her stance on the trans issue. They're saying that Stolansky's vision of the film works better for Prime. It is going to theater, so it's not going to be directly on Prime right away. But they said the same thing with Roadhouse, and that was on like in a week. And to be honest, wasn't a big fan of that one. I don't know if you ever got to see the reboot, but
another film I didn't see from Amazon was G20. So I'll be honest, at the minute they're batting a very kind of low score at the minute for me. So it'll be interesting. I mean, look, this is either going to be, Reacher Series 1 for me, which was kind of one of the best things Amazon did, or it's going to be Rings of Power. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Shout out to Steve in the chat, by the way. Thank you, man. Represent.
Let's see. There we go. Yo, hey Steve, thanks for popping in. Much appreciated. And we also got the Nerdway popping in. We appreciate you saying hello. Hope you guys are having a good day. Appreciate the support for sure. All the love in the world going to you. So yeah, I like for one of the things I was just going to ask, do you think this you kind of touched base on it already, if you thought this was something that was better with Prime, or should have it stayed at home where it was already?
Don't know, to be fair, because Amazon can do, I mean, in my opinion, some of it's a bit dubious, but Amazon can do some good stuff. I mean, for me, the Fallout TV series was really good. I really enjoyed it. I know there are some kind of ultra kind of lore heavy experts out there that kind of disagreed, and they had their reasons for not liking it. But I worry sometimes we fall into this thing of just like hating everything because it's the cool thing to do. And Fallout for me, I really enjoyed. I took it kind of as for what it was. And like I said, if they can replicate that, if they're letting, because Henry seems to be the man with a plan. He's a nerd. I think he's a 40k gamer. I'm pulling that out my ass.
Absolutely, he broke the internet putting together his.
Of course he did. Yeah. If you let him get on with it, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's the problem is all these kind of producers and executives and all these kind of people, they're the ones that kind of really kind of muddy the water with it. If they want to bring in experts and this kind of stuff. So if they leave it to him, just let him do it. Just let him be the one. He can star in it. He can, particularly with Highlander, you've got one main role. Just let him get on with it.
True, like you said, as long as the powers that be don't jump in too much and start muddying the waters for him. 100% on that. One of my worries about this potential reboot being the John Wick director there, Chad Stahelski, and the writer Michael Finch. A great kind of like put your brain on the shelf for an hour and a half movies. Script had was lacking a certain something for myself. Revenge stories always great. I think a worry of mine is getting an hour and a half to 2 hours of fantastic sword scenes, but with very little to back up the rest of it.
Well, this is what it comes back to, isn't it? Because the problem with let's have a look at an example, The Witcher, everyone's favorite Netflix fantasy drama. The Witcher went wrong because you had a man on the ground that knew and understood the story, and then you had the Netflix executives, and they were all kind of going in one direction. And it's the thing is, like, if you let him run with it, he may be able to point out things like, we need something here, we need something there. This fight scene could be too long, it could be too short, or whatever. I think a lot of weight needs to be put on Henry's shoulders. I'm going to just kind of reinforce that point. If they just kind of just pay him lip service, oh yeah, okay, Henry, yeah, whatever, but then go behind his back and carry on whatever, then you're going to get that kind of result. But I think if they just let him lay it out, listen to his feedback, and act on that, and I don't think they can go wrong. Will they do that is the magic question. And we'll
For
find
sure.
that out, because if it's a garbage, then we're going to know, aren't we? So
The question is, does Henry Cavill still have that pull to really, as you're alluding to, does he really still have that pull to be able to do that?
Well, it's about them. It's about them recognizing it, isn't it? Netflix failed to do so, and that's why they're going into an absolute disaster series with The Witcher series 4, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the recent pictures of Hemsworth as
brutal.
Geralt, and it doesn't work.
No,
I'm out. I didn't watch much of series 3 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Didn't watch Blood Origin or whatever it was on Christmas.
I checked out after season 2. As someone who's like more of a sci-fi than a fantasy fan, I said, let me check this out. Everybody's talking about it. I do like Henry Cavill. I enjoyed those first 2 seasons, and then as I heard things were getting worse there, and then once he was being recasted by Hemsworth, I checked out totally.
It's not his fault. It's not Hemsworth's fault. He got offered the role, or he applied for it, or whatever. Fair enough. It's Netflix's fault, and they're going to be the ones to suffer. Well, they won't, because they're just rolling in money, aren't they? But you know what I mean. It's going to come out and it's going to bomb. No one will know it, because Netflix don't release their figures. But
Absolutely.
someone at the top of Netflix will know.
Absolutely. Myself, and I understand that some things don't always work out with with certain talent and the production companies. I'm not a fan of recasts overall, whether it be movies and or TV series. It's a little disheartening to me. Great example. I know you don't follow Andor. This week in Andor, Jimmy Smith was recast with Benjamin Bratt as Bail Organa, and the second I saw that, I was just like, oh man.
One of these things is not like the other. I've just been watching. He was in series 6 or 7 of Dexter, which I finally just completed. Yeah. He was fantastic in that.
He's not a bad actor. My memories of him are from Law and Order. But if I had to hold the candle against him compared to Jimmy Smith, I think Smith's a far superior actor. I get it. There's scheduling and all that. And I know it's a little off topic. It's not Highlander, but, with a sinking brand like Star Wars, maybe he said, I'm going to get out while the going's good. So
well, why not?
Absolutely. So do you, with this Highlander reboot, do you think it's going to help revitalize Henry Cavill's career? And I only say that because, The Witcher fell apart. Then after that, the Argyle flop, brutal movie, hardly in it. Another one that I believe it was Prime that did that one, where they went a little more woke than they needed to on that, and it definitely was a flop. And then the only thing I believe he's done ever since was the quick cameo in Deadpool versus Wolverine as a Wolverine variant. Snyderverse. Yeah, that's just it, Calverine. And of course, with the division in the Snyderverse of hey, was he the best Superman ever? My personal opinion, I like when you see the memes about pick your downgrade. As great as a role as he did as the character of Superman, I thought he was a bit of a downgrade. But either way, he hasn't had a win in a while. Do you think this is going to kind of help revitalize the Henry Cavill train? Do you think he even has to worry about that? Do you think he has enough stock in with the fans that he doesn't have to worry and people are just going to go see it? Or
yeah, I mean, if it does well, so just to randomly click that. Yeah, I mean, not if it does well. Sorry, that's kind of the wrong choice of words. If it's good, then yes. If it's bad, then no. They put it kind of brutally like that. Like I said, I mean, if this is just going to be another thing where they just have his name on it, and it turns out they made all the decisions, and you've got a God knows what enemy, I just then it will fail. But if they listen to the man, let him get on with it, it'll be fine. And that I'm confident in it because he's passionate about the nerd stuff. And that's what you need. And that's what a lot of these franchises and series I feel have not had. They haven't had, one person that's really passionate about the property, like with Warhammer, like with The Witcher, like with, and they'd rather, Netflix is kind of Witcher is the prime example of that, of executives knowing better. They know better than someone that's played the games. They know better than someone that's read the books.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how we ended up with kind of series. Well, to be fair, it was happening in series kind of 2, wasn't it? More, the Trish show. That's kind of what it was kind of ending up to be. Nobody wanted to watch it for that, so they stopped watching and just started taking the piss out of it. So I've got confidence if they listen to him and they take his ideas and feedback on board and they steer the ship in the direction. You don't want him butting heads with the director or whatever, but there needs to be an understanding that But then again, I don't know his relation to Amazon. So, I mean, if they're saying that this is your project, we're going to give you a director and stuff, then he's got that pull. But if you've got a director that keeps going to go in the opposite direction, then, it's going to Titanic itself, isn't it? But I'm hoping this gives him a well-earned pat on the back, because he has been stitched up. I don't think he was the greatest Superman. I think you're right. He was watchable. There's no doubt about it. But he did get kind of shit on from a very great height. The Rock, another fantastic name in Hollywood. Catch us on our kind of Tardis Takedown show as well for insights into that little asshole. Brought him back for the Black Adam cameo, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then
they cut in his face. And
then DC were like, actually, see you later. And then you got all the stuff with Netflix and The Witcher, where they just they fail on all parts anyway. It sucks because he's shown in other roles. He could be a James Bond, etc., etc., etc.
100%.
I want him to do well. He deserves. He doesn't kind of cause any issues. You don't see him talking shit. About kind of certain rights. Etc., etc. He just wants to play video games, paint models, act a little bit, and then go out with his girlfriend. And, it's the dream, and I want him to do well.
Here on that. Last question on this one. What would you like to see out of this film?
I just don't want it to be bad.
Fair.
I just don't want it to be Highlander G20.
Fair.
I don't want Henry passing the mantle of Highlander over to a strong, independent black woman at the end of the film.
Ain't this the truth? You don't want the next Highlander to be shooty.
I mean, they could do it if they wanted to just waste money. He's busy anyway. He's busy playing Marlowe in a theatre production for the next couple of months. So his schedule's and also there's Doctor Who series 3. So I don't think you got to worry about seeing much out of him.
Fair enough. I'd like to see something like, I know you can't go note for note, but I would like to see something that mirrors the original movie fairly closely. Stylization, like I'd love for them to throw in like a couple of Queen songs in there, just to kind of have that feeling of the original one.
You could do that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in doing a little bit of a faithful reboot. The question is whether they can do it well, because people have had enough of reboots now. But if it's good, you can get away with it.
Yeah, 100%. Notes well taken. All right. Before we move along, just want to do a quick word from our sponsor here. Half a second here. All right. For any of our fans out there, the ones and ones of fans, if you're if you're in the United States, in the Ohio area, and you're around Egerton within the 40-mile radius, do you got some scrap to get removed? Do you got a storage unit that needs being cleaned out? If so, check out Triple R Recycling. That's reliable Rick Richardson. Gets rave reviews from his customers. Great guy to work with. If you have, like I said, any type of scrap or junk that needs to be removed and you're within the 40-mile radius of Egerton, contact junk_man4060@yahoo.com for reliable Rick Richardson. You will not be sorry.
Hell
Good
yeah.
luck with that, Rick. All right. Moving on. So, next up, we got the Dread reboot. Is it happening? Is it not happening? Got a little article here that I'm going to pull up. I believe we've talked about it. And of course, I just killed the tab for that.
We're doing it live, people. Okay, this is the first try run.
That's it. So, if you want to remind me, I know, like, on some of your shows that I've been on, I believe we've talked a bit about it backstage. Did you ever see the Dread reboot with Karl Urban?
No, I'm not. I appreciate it from a distance, if you will. I've never read any of the comics. The most in depth I ever got with Dread was the Sylvester Stallone film. Yeah, I am the law and all that kind of stuff. Great, I love that film. To be fair, brilliant. I also had the tie-in. I'm pretty sure it was a tie-in game for the Mega Drive / Genesis. That was fucking brilliant, no doubt. But apart from that's as far as my knowledge goes. But I like it. I just don't like it enough to get too involved. But I like I love the massive metal shoulder pads and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. I probably need to watch the Stallone film again, to be honest. But I understand that the Karl Urban film is very good. Maybe I'll watch it at some point. Who knows?
Definitely worth a watch. I'm gonna see if I can just kind of pull up an article here, so everyone bear with us. So, like I said, it's the first go here, so definitely I totally enjoyed the Dread reboot. It's gritty, has a very real sense to it as well. It's one of those movies I watch where I feel like, you know what, give it 50 years or whatever, I could see that be in North America. I appreciate the fact that in the movie, Karl Urban was true enough to the character that although his agent said, "Hey, I want you to take off the mask, show your face a little bit," he's like, character does not take off the mask, so nor will I. But let's see if I can find.
Why don't they? While you're kind of working for your technical problems, why don't they just simply do what they did with RoboCop with Rogue City, which is an absolute fantastic game. I'm replaying it again on PlayStation because I had it on PS Plus. I was like, that's absolutely fantastic. Just do that. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a movie or a TV series. You can get a decent kind of narration and adaptation through a good Judge Dredd game would draw me in, I think.
100%. Like I agree. Like a first person shooter for Dredd would just be
you could sprinkle in some kind of Arkham Asylum detective kind of work, that kind of stuff. You could do a lot with that, I think.
Agreed 100%.
In fact, get the same people that did Rogue City and get them on that, because they seem to have quite a talent for kind of wanting to treasure the source material.
There we go. Karl Urban hopes to return as Dredd in planned Mega City 1 live action series. The Boys star Karl Urban has made it clear he hopes to reprise his role as Judge Dredd in the Mega City 1 series. Dredd was obviously released in 2012. Had a budget of $50 million. It grossed with DVD sales at the time $54 million. It was going up against The Dark Knight, and there wasn't a whole lot of press about it, right? And
okay. I didn't really realize that, to be fair, because again, I was zeroed in on The Dark Knight, so okay.
As was I, and like I didn't discover Dredd till many years later. And great 3D movie. You don't have to watch it in 3D, but great movie if anyone has a chance to see it. He pitched it back in 2012 and again in 2017. Rebellion owns the rights to it. they did the movie 2000 AD. They did the Aliens versus Predator PC game. They're pretty small fry, but they were never able to come to an agreement. I know part of the issues was Carl Urban wanted it totally costed out. He wanted his family flown to set, all the hotels, everything paid for. And I just don't see Rebellion as having the type of budget.
That's a big ask, isn't it?
It is, right?
That's a big ask for a project that may not make a huge amount of money back initially.
So this article, this one I'm not really going to read because well, listen, it's very early to get any specifics on that, but I've got the record saying that I would love to come back and be part of the world that tell more Dread stories. Urban started. There is a plethora of great stories within the Dread universe, which is true. You got things like Judge Death and the Rico robot uprising, which is played by Armin Asante in the original Stallone. So now it's really just a matter of Jason Kingsley, who is the CEO of Rebellion, to decide whether he wants to sell the rights or not. So
why don't they just get an Amazon? Why don't they just get an Amazon to say, look, can you sort this out?
I think that would be definitely fantastic. So I'm just going to get rid of that there. Remove. There we go. Well, there we go. Yeah, do you know, like Amazon has the money to do it. He's seen a lot of success, obviously, with The Boys. And
well, surely Carl Urban has, we talk about kind of pull, if you will. You kind of think there's a connection there that, Carl could, iron something out. It doesn't have to be, you'd want to keep the rights, you'd want to tell them to piss off on that. But there could be something that you could do with that. But if you're just going on Rebellion's budget alone, I don't know. I think, asking, can you fly my family down and put them in a hotel? No, I can't. Fuck off. I'll get someone else to play the fucking role. Because let's be honest with it, a good chunk of it is with the mask on anyway. So why the fuck do I need you for then?
Yeah, 100% on that. And I was looking at some of his projects. He does have 3 upcoming projects, including Johnny Cage and Mortal Kombat 2 coming to a theater near you. I know I've mentioned Mr. H in some of your streams before, who is fairly tight with the CEO of Rebellion. And it looks like this one appears to be more rumor than actually factually based in anything. It's it's more of just of an actor, Carl Urban, trying to pitch an idea, and are their ears open for it? Again, like you said, you could always recast him with somebody else because he's going to be wearing the mask. I just don't
think I don't think the right way to pitch the idea is fly all my family down and book out a load of hotel rooms. I don't really think that's the best, foot to put forward. I could be wrong. It could be kind of looking into it too much. Maybe that's the thing they do in Hollywood. I just think if you're that passionate about getting a project done, then you would, it would be by any means necessary, wouldn't it?
100%. Yeah. If you are that passionate about it, you're going to kind of have a little give and take there. I know obviously Carl Urban isn't hurting for money. And as much as The Boys has done well, it just might be cheaper to go a different route. Again, it just, like I said, looks like a little bit more hopeful thinking than it is something to do. Would you feel like a Dread movie? I know you haven't seen the reboot at all. Do you think that would be better in the hands of Prime? Or do you think Buddy should hold on to the rights? I think like the toss up.
Oh no, never give Amazon the rights. No, that would be my kind of stance on this kind of stuff now, because they can't be trusted. It's a roll of the dice. You never know. Like I said, and then, you're probably thinking the same thing. It's never. It's always going to be down to, is it going to be done well, like to the Reacher standard, or are you gonna? You have not seen what I have seen. Rings of Power it. So you'd want to keep some kind of control. You just want to give them a share of the profits for obviously putting X amount of the money forward. I mean, ultimately, I wouldn't even bother doing a movie personally. Get a game out. Get a game out there. Would be my thought. Like I said, the guys that are doing Rogue City did an excellent job with that. They've even got an expansion coming out, I think, for that now pretty soon. Get them on it. We're going to license out we'll keep an eye on it to make sure you're not screwing us, but make a game, get that out there, issue some new kind of comic kind of books around it. Steve can probably be more of a guide on that than I ever could, but, build around that and then whatever, make a TV series for it. I don't fucking know. And Amazon would be in that element for a TV series. That comment was disallowed. You're wrong, Steve, unfortunately. This isn't my show, but I've still got some pull here. I'll ban you.
In the nerd way, real quickly. Yeah, I agree. Definitely way, way too campy. I don't know. I see that you, like you said, you read some of the comic books and stuff like that. I got a bit of a collection of them as well. I think the reboot was a little more true to them than the actual Stallone version. Definitely I'd want to get away from the campiness that was, but at the time, that was superhero movies.
But my kind of final point is just build around it. If you were going to do a TV series, Amazon would be your go-to business partner without a shadow of a doubt. I would just be skeptical about giving them anything to do with the rights, percentage profits and all this kind of stuff. And you can put your nice shiny logo on it, but you don't get any of the good stuff. You don't get the rights and all that kind of malarkey.
Let them fly at Urban's family.
Yeah, and don't fly out. Fucking, I mean, come on. I'll be honest. I don't know if that makes me lose a little bit of respect for Mr. Urban. That's kind of something like a Tom Cruise would expect. Can you fly out my dog and my dog walker? And yeah, no problem, Mr. Cruise. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because he has the weight behind him. Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
And at the end of the day, you also got to consider at this point is Dredd kind of like a dead franchise. That has a cult following, not dead like in the sense where you can't do something with it. Like I'm 100% on board with you, where it's like put out a game, release some comics around it, maybe some interactive websites or something like that. But is there enough of a fandom base?
It could be, because it's unique and it's different. I'll be honest, if there was a game, I'd probably play it, unless it was looking like absolute kind of garbage. Then of course I wouldn't. But the same thing, if they took the Fallout model and did a TV series, and they did, initial 6-episode run or something, and again, if it looked good, fine. I guess you got to start somewhere, but I think maybe just going back to the well on a movie, maybe it's probably just going to yield the same results that they've had in the previous film.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, people are fed up with the MCU and the reboots and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think a new Dredd film would be classed as a reboot, because you're not, unless you're rebooting a particular arc from the film. I think there's life in the old girl yet. You just need to focus it, And like I said, I'm strong kind of thing. I think a game would be great. Get it great because you can reach a huge kind of gamer base. Oh, what the fuck's this? Dredd. Oh, this game is great. What else can I find on it? Oh, there's some films. There's kind of there's comic books, there's graphic novels. Check out this campy film from 19 whatever with Sylvester Stallone. And then you can go, well, if you like that, look at this fucking film. Look at this TV series.
Agreed.
And then you can move forward with that kind of stuff. But what do I know?
Hey, this is why we have you on here. You got some great takes. Love them. Pretty much agree with all of it there. Again, I'm not sure if Urban really has the weight to be pulling off those demands. And, would I like to see a TV series out of it? absolutely. Video games and that are the way to go. I'm gonna agree with you on that. And sorry, Mr. Urban, if that hurts your feelings. We can always watch you as
he could voice a video game character.
100%.
From the sound of his kind of diva-ish demands, I don't necessarily think you're going to be able to afford him for a TV series. You know, obviously he kind of maybe feels above. You know, he's better than that now with the boys.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of tapped out of that after series 1, 2, maybe 3. I'm done now, and everything I'm seeing and hearing just confirms I don't want to go back to it.
Fair enough. Still a big fan on my end of the boys, but
Okay.
you know, everybody got a different cup of tea on that, and
Yeah.
you know, I think a lot of it, to be honest, is Anthony Starr as Homelander makes a series for me.
He does, yeah. I mean, that's probably the only reason I was holding out. You know, but unfortunately, with the stuff they were coming out with, and the stuff of the writers and the runners of the show were coming out with, it just turned me off.
Fair.
Yeah, you get exactly what they wanted. You know, it's because they were like anti-Trump and all this kind of shit, weren't they? If memory serves, there was something anyway from again. I'm not necessarily remembering
in the last season. They definitely kind of tried to mirror the Trump thing.
And I'm just not interested. Yeah. You can get away with it if it's good. It just didn't really seem.
It wasn't necessary in moving forward the plot. 100% on that. Well, Dread, we're sailing you off to Mega City 1. And with that, give me 1 second here. Last. There we go again from the Nerd Way. The last half of the season lost him on the boys, and after that he checked out on it, and a lot of people did. I'm still going to be looking forward to season 5 to see how they wrap it all up. But again, I don't blame you for checking out on that one. Right. And with that, we're going to move on to a little Godzilla chat. Myself, big fan of the Godzilla and the Monsterverse. Everything from like the old movies to the Apple series with Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Just a quick note on that one. I thought the best thing that they ever did was put both Russells in there, Kurt and Wyatt Russell, and Wyatt playing the younger version of Kurt. I just thought was just pure magic. Big fan. Obviously, the Godzilla X Kong series has done quite well in the theaters. I'll pull up an article. I don't think I'll read all of it. It is rather lengthy, but I'll touch on a few things on there. Did you ever wind up seeing Godzilla -1?
No, not yet.
No.
I'm not a big kind of. I'm more of a Dread fan than I'm a kind of Godzilla and etc. But that doesn't mean that I hate it. It just it needs to be kind of in my face. If there's nothing else to watch and it happens to be lurking around somewhere, then yes, I'll watch it. I'm not going to go out my way to see it though. It looks fine. No doubt, and I'm glad people are enjoying it. But it's not my most favorite thing ever.
Fair enough. So Toho Group, at the end of the day, they're investing $500 million American into the Godzilla franchise from every range of projects, including films, which I believe they're trying to look at by 2035 another 20 films.
Wow.
Yeah. That said, the movie grossed, I do have it here, 116 million with a budget of 10 to 13 million.
Yeah, I do remember talking about that kind of in an alternate universe. What films was that up against? But it absolutely pardon the pun, stomped them. And good. It deserved to, because it was a much better film and it was bringing people much more enjoyment. God, I wish I knew what films it was up against. It's probably some MCU bollocks, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
I believe so. And speaking of which, it did win the Oscar for Best Effects. And when you look at a movie that only costs 10 to 13 million to make, where your average Marvel movie is $250 million, and they were able to pull out Best Effects as an Oscar. That definitely speaks to some hard work there. Also, they want to get into some more animation. Netflix is full of it. They got some great series on there with Godzilla. Theatrical plays.
For some reason, I think of in South Park when you had Mecha, Godzilla, and Barbra Streisand, and they did some musical numbers around that. I'm not gonna kind of drive away the tens and tens of Papa South's fans by doing my own rendition of it, but that for some reason, when I read theatrical plays, that's kind of what I was thinking of. I don't really know why, but it could be good. It could be good.
And I'm gonna ask you about that in a bit. But yeah, so like,
did you see as well after the theatrical plays and games? Give us again. I'd play a Godzilla game.
100%. So
here's Godzilla, just fucking, the Incredible Hulk game a long time ago, back on the original Xbox. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. And you just destroyed stuff, and it was fucking brilliant. And that's all you need to do. Here is Godzilla, and you just smash stuff and bring in some other monsters as well. The big fucking butterfly, whatever his fucking name is, Mothra. Get him in there. Yeah, get that sumbitch in. Easy. You don't have to do it on a AAA game like EA budget. Give it to these, there's so many of these little studios now that want to treasure this material, and you'll get a lot more out of it. And like I said, my source on that is RoboCop Rogue City.
Yeah, agreed. I also see some value maybe in some mobile app games with it. Mobile app games are still huge, like like the running games, but the still could work.
Yeah, but I hate the mobile. Mobile gaming has brought out the worst in like mainstream like console gaming, because all this kind of stuff, like kind of transactions, like kind of microtransactions stuff, kind of evolved through mobile gaming, and it got these kind of assholes thinking, what if, if we left it at that, we just would have had like Oblivion horse armor everywhere, and that would have been acceptable. But they started looking at kind of microtransactions on mobile phones and just thinking, well, what if? And now every fucking game that comes out, console, mobile, or whatever, you've got these annoying fucking transactions in.
Yeah, which I think is just like destroying the gaming industry. I was having a conversation the other day about going to the arcade back in the day, and we had some good ones out here, and the amount of quarters that you pumped in, and then eventually it just became console gaming and that. But now with all the microtransactions, you might as well be at the arcade pumping in the quarters.
True, but you know what game you don't have microtransactions in?
What's that?
RoboCop Rogue City.
There you go. Chris is giving a solid endorsement for RoboCop.
Exactly. If they want to sponsor me, give me a free copy of the expansion, you shits.
And I'll tell you, he is worth every penny of that endorsement, for sure. Quick question on that. Does Peter Weller do the voice? Oh, I'm sold.
Yeah.
PC game?
It's on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. It'll probably end up on fucking the Switch. It may already be on there, I don't know. And there's an expansion coming out soon. Ed 209's in it. Nice. Spoilers, there are multiple Ed 209s. There's fucking Ed 209s everywhere. It's fucking brilliant. What more do you need?
I want Dick Jones' stretchy arms as he's falling out the window. So I want to touch on the play thing for a second in the theatrical plays there. How do you see that? Like I'm someone who's been fortunate enough to see probably 8 major theatrical live theatrical productions: Les Mis, Miss Saigon, Phantom. I know that you can work some magic on the stage. But man, Godzilla seems like a monster of something to accomplish.
I mean, they must have. I mean, to even bring it up, they must have the semblance of an idea, and sometimes that's all you need. If you look at what they've done, it's not going to be the same team that spearhead the movies that would spearhead the games and a theatrical production, etc.
Absolutely.
But they must have kind of some idea. Maybe it could be more about the boots on the ground a little bit. I don't know. And if you could do, if they can make a theatrical production of Spider-Man, even though from the sounds of it, it was shit.
How many Spider-Mans have we lost now? I know there's been some major accidents on this.
Many Spider-Men were lost in the making of this theatrical production. It probably wouldn't be the worst thing you'd ever see. That would be Shutigawa playing Marlowe. So, if I had to, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a theatrical production on Godzilla, as you say, versus, the big butterfly bastard? Or would you like to see Ncuti Gatwa play Shakespeare's friend Marlowe, where they're all gay? I'm probably going with Godzilla and Big Butterfly Bastard, probably 99% of the time.
There would be too much crying in the other version.
Yeah, and gayness.
Yeah, 100. So, like I said on your stream on Saturday, again, everybody, his links are in the description below. Check out his Saturday streams and his wrestling streams too. They are fantastic. But it's the thumb rings and that's just a dead giveaway with Ncuti there.
That's the thing. Like, could you look at really with Godzilla and stuff? You can open it up to every audience, can you? Shout out to Steve in the chat. Ncuti Gatwa as Godzilla. Well, I mean, it could work if you want Godzilla to cry a lot, I suppose, and be openly, super flamboyantly gay. Maybe you can have Godzilla in the Pride colors or the T-Virus colors.
There you go. Maybe Mothra could be his lover. Types.
But yes, it could work. Theatrical production could work, and you could bring kids. You could have Saturday matinees or whatever they call them. It'd be brilliant. You'd put billions of dollars back into the theatrical business.
Absolutely. So with both -1 Godzilla X Kong, they're 3 movies in now. They got a 4 coming out in the next couple of years. I believe they start production on it this summer. What do you think the attraction is to the MonsterVerse? Why is it so successful? Do you think it's a matter of superhero fatigue and people are just done with the Marvel fatigue? DCU still up in question as Superman hasn't came out yet, obviously, but a lot of questions about that going forward. What's your feelings on why the MonsterVerse has been so successful over the years?
It's not. I disagree. It's not MCU fatigue. It's not even superhero kind of fatigue. It's bad MCU film fatigue. It's bad superhero fatigue films. You can get away with it if you're doing them. If you're doing them well. I mean, you look at the original MCU. They just started. All of a sudden they were just kind of banging them out, kind of year after year after year. Building up to kind of the bigger event films. It'll be better than Island because they were good for the most part, average at worst. But now, you look at Brave New World. It's literally, it's putrid zombified corpse has only just moved over the break-even line. So of course, when something comes along, like kind of Godzilla -1, it's different. Well, not different in the fact it's completely a brand new IP, but it's different to the normal slop that people have been kind of subjected to. So, they were going to go to it. And I know there was another film, wasn't there, that didn't do as well. But you don't need, you only need one. And, you're off to the races. So that's it. People aren't fatigued with superheroes in general. They're fatigued with bad films in general. And all they're getting when you go to the cinema is your Zeglers, your Pascals, etc., etc.,
Agreed. Where do you think its success has been? Where they tried to bring out the horror verse, and they've tried taken a shot at that a few times. Do you think there's like a certain? I'd say, is there a certain bit of nostalgia, but at the same time, some of those characters, are as old as dirt. Wolfman.
You could have, nostalgia is a good card to have in your back pocket. I would, I know absolutely fucking nothing about this, but just kind of taking a blind stab at it, aim it slightly towards, make it more marketable towards kids. I'm not saying make it a complete, make it a cartoon, but try and aim it as like a 12 for like your Jurassic Park kind of audience.
Yep.
And you just think of the toys and merchandise that you could in theory kind of sell. Maybe I'm looking a bit too far ahead.
No,
if you aim it at the right market, it doesn't have to be kind of infants. But that 12, the 12 is a rating in the UK. Sorry, I don't know what kind of you all have, because fuck the rest of the world, UK for life. But 12, 12 is a rating that we have, and 12 is probably that sweet spot because 12-year-olds want the toys, etc. They want to go to the cinema, and if you say, look, here's this big monster destroying stuff, like mum, dad can go see that film. Mum, dad can have that. That would be my thought.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as well that. They've managed to break up their market into different areas that could all be successful. Godzilla -1, more for the aficionado, if you will. All right. And people definitely fans of the older Godzilla movies. Like, it was honestly almost note for note the exact same as the first one, just with better effects and such. Where Godzilla v Kong or X Kong, I think that's more for your teenager market, right? Teenager market, kids just want to see a couple of monsters smashing the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, no matter whatever market you're going for, if you try and scattergun it, you're going to lose. But whatever market you go for, just make it good, make it the spectacle of the year. And you for reference, use Jurassic Park. I can't remember too many films that were alongside it. There were probably some good films. That was a good year for films, as I remember. But for me, Jurassic Park was the event. You had to go see it, Obviously, it helps that, I suppose back then you didn't have streaming services. But if you kept it as a massive event, like, look at this film, it's amazing. You can only see it in cinemas for, an extended period of time and before it moves on. None of this like with Borderlands, like in a week's time, it's on digital platforms.
Yep.
But then again, Borderlands wasn't a very good film. So no wonder they moved that fucking piece of shit off the cinema. But that's what I'm saying. Make it an event. Make it, got to be good. But then, make it the Jurassic, make it the Jurassic Park. Because you look at how Jurassic Park has gone now and how, for me personally, it's kind of fell off the wagon.
Yeah, it has.
But, the first film and the second film, at the very least, were must-sees. Absolutely. And you want to do that and replicate it. The MCU did it. The MCU did it for quite a long time. Or Marvel did it, should I say. They did it for quite a long time before they just lost their way in a spectacular money-losing fashion.
I also think one of the advantages Toho in particular has compared to the North American markets is Toho owns all the theaters that their movies are getting shown in. They take 100% of the take home, where here, it's cinema franchises and dollars are split up between the different production companies.
But that's where your merchandise and all that kind of stuff around it, kind of like Godzilla toys and stuff. That's where I think you can make a huge amount of money because people are bored, kids are bored. Yeah. Who the fuck wants a Shuri copter? If you watch, I can't remember the name of the channel now, but they do kind of videos where they go around looking at clearance sections, and it's mountains of Disney toys that no one's ever going to want to buy. Who the fuck wants Shuri as Black Panther? No one. Yeah. But, if a kid opened Godzilla for Christmas because they saw the film a couple of months back, could be on to a winner.
Agreed. 100%. Great takes on that. And with that, Monsterverse is out of the way. And we will be moving on to close this tab. Where are you on the Alien franchise?
Nowhere. I'm not really interested.
No. It's a quick segment, everybody.
There you go. I respect it for what it is, and by that I only mean aliens. You know, I kind of don't really understand the appeal of everything else after that, because everything else after that didn't really seem to hit that mark. And now the universe is spreading out to, you know, all this other silly shit, and it's got MCU disaster written on it in fine print, and it's coming. You know, they're going to start making these films or all this stuff on a regular basis, and I think it's going to fall flat on its face to the point where no one's going to want to hear Alien unless you're working for Rice and you're hunting them down.
There you go. I checked out after Alien Resurrections. As a kid, like, the movies scared the bejesus out of me. And then as I got to be a teenager, where I wasn't, really
apologies, right? But this is something that I think when you brought it up originally, when we went live, right? Where they went wrong, in my completely unprofessional, unwarranted opinion, is you had one alien, very much like with Doctor Who and the Daleks, okay, where, you know, in the older stuff, you just had like one. You had one alien, and he was a scary motherfucker, and that's all you needed. But now, and I think if my memory is kind of right, what you're going to show me, now we've got different species of alien, and you know, the pink alien, and you know, the trans alien, and this is where franchises lose their way, because they're going from the core concept. The core concept was you are alone on a spaceship or a space station or fucking wherever in the middle of fuck knows where, and there is a super apex predator that is going to murder you.
Yeah,
that's all you need. All you need.
And now it's at minimum, it's no, flock's the right word. A whole herd of aliens, if you will.
Now you can have an alien dog and alien bee and alien, you know, like cow. I don't fucking know. Yeah. But you take my point, and it's like, it's just not as scary. It's just not as scary as the original piece of shit stalking the halls that could kill you at any moment's notice.
Do 100% agree. It's not as scary or as jumpy. Definitely ruined it with Prometheus. Like, I gave that a shot, and it was just like,
the only exception to that is, surprise, surprise, the game they did, Alien Isolation, and you could tell that was a scary game. I didn't play it because horror isn't for me anyway, and Aliens isn't for me. But they nailed the aesthetic, and you know that you were supposed to be fearing for your life. You were not supposed to be superior or be able to get one over on this killing machine at any point in this game. And that's what we need to go back to in the material. And if they keep refusing to do that, then they're going to get progressively worse and worse, in my opinion.
And yeah, in Alien Romulus at this point, I would say give it a watch. As good as the originals? No. Way better than what they've put out in the last number of years. Absolutely. It got a budget of 80 million, gross 350. So had some legs there to run with it. And I'm gonna pop on the quick Alien Earth. It's a little teaser trailer. You really don't see anything in it, but you know, for the sake of, I'm just going to play it quickly.
Shout out to the Nerd Way, saying Tom Cruise destroyed the Dark Universe. Yeah, that was something that really could have taken off, but for some reason, Tom just wanted to fucking derail it, and he did. So that's a shame, that is, because you could have got some decent stuff out of that.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that. Oh, this is the newest little teaser that they've been putting out.
This ship collected 5 different life forms from the darkest corners of the universe. Each one a unique, deadly species. Monsters.
So,
see what I mean?
Yeah. So that said, I know this. One of the problems I might have with it, I like the concept. I like the fact that the aliens are going to be on the Earth. I know it's
Are
just
they though? Because it just seems to be on a spaceship.
So my understanding is that the spaceship is going to crash on Earth. Now you got aliens running around Earth. The problem with that being is this is supposed to take place 2 years before the original. So it's going to kind of convolute the storyline a little bit.
Well, the OG?
The OG, yeah. So they're really messing with canon 100%. I think this could be a fun ride. You know, what I would like to see out of it is definitely a return to that jumpy kind of horror feeling, which I think in an urban setting, I think you can get that if it's done properly. At the same time, though, whoever your protagonists are, I want to see some tech that makes sense to deal with the issue. But at the same time, face huggers and all of that, you know, like if you're trying to run a logical train in your head, saying like, you know, the Earth probably within a week, you know, would be infested with these things and completely.
They're running a very a very dangerous game, kind of making it a prequel to already established ultra popular IP, because the problem is going to bring up, unless they handle it very, very well, it's going to bring up a load of questions like, well, we now know that we knew about, you know, the xenomorphs, so why didn't Ripley, as an example, I'm not saying that's an exact question that could probably
that's a great, fair, valid question.
But you know, how did Ripley, or you know, not, you know, how did the team not know? You know, if you had this big event, but they could say, well, they kept it quiet or whatever the fuck. But that's the problem with this. If you don't tread very carefully, you can open the floodgates to, well, you fucked it all now because you forgot about one thing and it fucks everything else.
Kind of like Star Wars.
Indeed, yeah.
You know, once you start messing with canon, and then it opens up the can of worms of, I'm like, I am a stickler for this has to fucking make sense. And if it doesn't, that's generally when I'll check it.
And this is the thing, and as an example, you know, you've got 5 different species of alien, allegedly, but we only had one. You know, I mean, again, it's like, why reinvent what works? Fair enough. Okay, so we got a spaceship heading to Earth. Just repeat, you know, what was successful. There is a lone xenomorph, and you got a spaceship, and it's X hours away or X days away from Earth. Oh shit, you know, we've got to sort this out because it can't land on Earth. I think if it does land on Earth, again, I think it's gonna ask more questions than it's gonna answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's no way, as you said, there's no way that if it hits Earth that, you know, that they couldn't spread. You know, and I'm not looking too deep into it, but that's the problem that you create when you do this and you backtrack. Just leave it alone. You know, why the fuck are we going before, you know, the Weaververse, the Ripleyverse? What are we, you know, it's arrogance, you know, on a scale not known, that they think that they can go back in time and they can do better. And I hate to tell them this, they can't. It may be good, it may be average, it could be really good, but it's never going to be Alien. They're never going to do it.
Absolutely. So a franchise you think better left alone? And
well, you know, if you've got that much of a hard on to make one, then just try and replicate the original formula. I think, you know, you end up like with the Venom symbiote, you know, and you had like the Venom horse, the Venom dog, etc. Like, you know, Deadpool to a certain degree as well, but obviously Deadpool kind of works more to that formula. You know, just keep it simple, stupid. I don't want to see, even if I was into it, and maybe I'm not the best person to ask, but even if I was into Alien, I just want to see, you know, the OG. I just want to see, you know, the badass alien tear it the fuck up. I don't want to see all this other shit.
Yeah, you're stuck in deep space where
no one can hear you scream.
Yeah, no one
that
can hear
was
you
the
scream.
point.
Yeah, right. Where at least the anomaly can kind of be kept in one little spot and not really mess. Right.
That's the thing.
It'd still be believable that, hey, it happened in another ship or whatever.
And if they must, they could do that, and they could say, and you know, they could have it before, you know, Ripley's time. And it's, oh shit, you know, we're on a spaceship heading to Earth, and we've got to try and fix this problem. or else. And then you could square that away and say, well, no one knew about it because it was covered up, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But if they're saying that this is on Earth and you've got 50,000 different types of alien, I don't know, man.
Gary Busey and his team came in with a bunch of like freeze guns and
just Gary Busey is the alien.
Yeah. So that being said, we're getting a Alien Romulus sequel, and apparently, rumor is at the end of the movie, they're going to reveal a predator. Also,
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, you got it. Good. Tom Hanks was busy that day, so.
Do you know who Jimmy Savile is? Apologies, I don't know if I just set you up there to look.
I'll have to Google him.
He's a notorious UK offender that was pretty much protected by the BBC.
Oh,
so to have him, and he had a catchphrase. He smoked a big cigar as well. So to have him come out at the end of an Alien film it would shock me.
In the BBC, no one can hear you scream.
Indeed. Well, depending what office you're in.
And with the whaling connection in the new Predator.
Oh God, yeah, with that god awful looking Predator. What the fuck are they doing?
And again, they have like the whaling industry android, and with the reveal at the end of this Romulus sequel that there will be a Predator. How do you feel about the revitalization of AVP? Is it something you think that should just be left alone?
I don't have. I mean, like I said, I'm probably overextending my opinions here a bit because I don't really have.
I love them.
I don't have a horse in the race, but it's not. If you were just treating it kind of simply. And we were just keeping on course, like, oh shit, there's an alien, I mean alien as in the OG. Oh shit, he's on a spaceship heading to Earth. We've got to deal with that. Oh shit, now there's fucking another one, and he's over there somewhere. And you say, oh shit, now there's now the Predator is here. Fine, you can work with that, and they did it before. I don't know what the AVP film was like or the game, etc. Although I do remember playing the AVP game on PC if memory serves, but I can't remember too much about it. But you can do these things. You can do anything. We've got the money. We have the technology. It's whether you do them well. And I worry that these guys are getting a little bit too overconfident, a little bit too comfortable playing around with a franchise that they don't really. Again, I can get absolutely flamed in the comments for this or chat or whatever, and that's fine. But they're playing with a franchise that they don't necessarily understand, because if they did understand it, we wouldn't have 50 different types of alien.
100%.
Just have one, because one is all you need. It's exactly the same with Doctor Who now, where anytime the Daleks are on the screen, there's a billion of them. But you didn't need a billion of them. You just needed one. One is enough. If you create the atmosphere and the tension, like, oh shit, there's a pepper pot with a laser gun, like waddling around. And they did that in season 1 of the reboot in 2005 or whenever. You had one fucking Dalek, and the Doctor was terrified. Everyone was terrified, and you as a viewer were like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" You don't need. The more you have, the less effect it has, and I don't know. It's fine, do it. Have Alien vs Predator. It's fine. I'm sure it will do well. But are we going to have 50? Is it that thing like 100 gorillas versus a lion? Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah.
100 different types of alien versus a predator. That would be terrible, in my opinion.
Honestly, like where I would like to see them go with it, if it is something that they are seriously considering rebooting, which it sounds like it is based on both.
You can make a lot of merchandise from it. You can make games, etc., etc. It could make some money.
100%. Honestly, kind of like back to your thoughts, where it's just like you kind of go back to the OG thing. I would like to see maybe a ship just with predators, no humans. And maybe there's an alien or two, like xenomorphs, on their ship that they have to deal with. I know this is like maybe a big stretch for some people. Honestly, I think it'd be something I would like to see.
But what about? And this is the thing. Maybe I'm backtracking a little bit, because again, I don't. When you bring that element in, you've got to make it work somehow. But then you think, okay, well. And we do this all the time when we talk on kind of the wrestling side of things, although it's normally a little bit less serious and a little bit more stupid. But in this instance, you could just have, the Alien Earth TV series could spin off into an AVP. You just have, oh shit, the ship's barreling towards Earth. They can't stop it for whatever reason. Maybe there's been some sabotage on the ship or whatever. Final scene could be the ship crashes in, Canadian Rockies. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm getting at, yeah. Somewhere in America, who fucking knows? But some rocky area, remote, no one around apart from, and a predator steps into view and the alien escapes, and you can have one or two people from the ship, and they're like, oh fuck, and then you could bring in two other people that live in a cabin in the Rockies or wherever the fuck, and you've got four humans. They're like, oh fuck, what do we do? And then you've got predators like, oh well, I'm getting this asshole, and then the alien's just like, well, the fuck do I do? I'm an alien. Kill everybody.
Better be in the American
that could work.
Because if it's in the Canadian Rockies, then you have to deal with the indigenous there, and it's a whole other can of worms that you don't want to open up here. It's but it could work. They could.
You take my point. Yeah,
I think 100%.
You could do it, and you can make it kind of believable in the terms of the law. And then at the end, you could have Wolverine jump out and kill everyone, and then that would open up a multiverse from whatever the fuck the MCU were doing.
It could be Cavalry.
Yeah, there could be Cavalry. See, it's all tied. It's all relative. It all ties together.
Sounds good. Appreciate your takes on the Alien verse there. Like I said, no, you're not a big old fan of that, but nonetheless, it is appreciated. There we go. And with that said, we are moving on to a little bit of Harry Potter with the TV series reboot, whatever you want to call it, coming into play, and the recent, J.K. Rowling, her recent comments on the UK government or Supreme Court, anyways, ruling that a person is the gender that they are when they're born, and that's it.
It's not, it's not a ruling. And this is something that's really important for people out of the UK bubble, right? All this court has done is clarify the law. That's all they've done. They haven't made anything new.
No.
They just said, listen, boys, for the purpose of the law, you can't go into women's changing rooms. You can't go into women's sports because you're not, funnily enough, although it's absolutely insane in 2025 that it needs to go to a high judicial process, you are not women. You can pretend to be all you want. And that's been the same line everybody has said. You can pretend to be all you want, but there are certain things you can't do and certain things that you are not. And we just need to deal with that and move on. Sorry.
No. Hey, that's
some insight for you.
No, absolutely. Especially with you living across the pond there. Clarification is good. Screen. So there we go. All right. So John Lithgow says he absolutely didn't expect any backlash after J.K. Rowling's comments on the ruling of the court, so to speak. Why is this a factor? There's good old Lithgow there.
I think he's referring to just in general because Rowling, however you fucking say her name, has always been fighting the fight for women's rights, however you want to word it.
100%.
Keeping men out of women's bathrooms, I suppose, is kind of the short of it. I think that's really because the minute you say that you're in anything to do with Harry Potter or supporting J.K. Rowling, you get these insane people coming at you. So the minute they had a whiff that he was in it, I don't think it was anything to do with the Supreme Court kind of ruling. To be fair, they probably brought out some more weirdos.
Fair enough. So Lithgow is opening up about how fans feel about him joining HBO's Harry Potter series, considering the involvement in the contentious franchise creator J.K. Rowling. In a sit down with Times of London, Lithgow said he received some backlash for joining the series because of Rowling's controversial comments about the transgender community. The Conclave star said it was something he absolutely did not expect and was thinking more about his age when he accepted the role.
We
Sorry, just gonna.
We just for you, just call out Variety though. What's controversial about what she said?
I don't
All
think
she
there's
has
anything
said is
controversial.
men should not be in the safe spaces for biological women. You know, like
And there's nothing
assault
controversial
shelters,
about that.
changing rooms.
Yeah.
They should be able to have equal. Funny, isn't it? Equal opportunities, kind of in sports and stuff. There's nothing controversial about that. So Variety need to stick that straight up their ass.
Here
Anyway.
to that. Yep. Of course, it was a big decision, and because it's probably the last major role I'll play, which is true because of his age. Lithgow said it's an 8-year commitment, so I was just thinking about the morality and that this is a very good winding down role for himself. Absolutely. Lithgow added that a very good friend of mine who has a trans child sent him an open letter entitled "Open Letter to John Lithgow. Please walk away from Harry Potter" after he picked up the role. That was the canary in the coal mine for me. Lithgow went on to ponder why Rowling's past comments should affect the project. I thought, why is this a factor? I wonder how J.K. Rowling has absorbed it. Lithgow said, I suppose at a certain point I'll meet her and I'm curious to talk to her. When asked about the backlash has made him reconsider the role, oh heavens no, that's a big F-U. And then and it just goes on to talk about, again, stuff J.K. Rowling has said. We kind of already touched base on. There we are.
What's the betting that his friend is someone that operates in Hollywood?
Oh, 100%. Someone from California.
It's not going to be, so-and-so from down the road, is it? It's going to be, one of them.
So I guess a question I'm going to pose to you is, and I'll answer after you. Do you think he's doing the right thing by sticking with the project?
Yeah.
100%.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, for all the stuff going on with Black Snape, you can't fault the guy for going after the role. Should it have been given to him? That's a different question. But you can't fault him for applying for it. And the same with John Lithgow. I mean, again, I just watched him again in Dexter, butt naked for a couple of scenes. Fair play to him. A lot of balls to show your ass at kind of X years old.
Dennis Franz, NYPD Blue, same thing.
Dennis Franz, yeah, fucking hell. I like NYPD Blue.
Yeah.
Only this original stuff with Caruso. I wasn't too much of a fan after that, but why would you turn down a role that, and like you said, it's the end game of his career. This is what he's going to be known for.
Yeah.
Plus the other stuff, but when you look back in history, it's going to be, he was Dumbledore in the TV series. And I'm confident he can pull it off. Whether the rest of the TV series is any good, I mean, we don't really kind of know. But yeah, you'd be absolutely fucking stupid to say, but I've received a letter from someone that doesn't pay my bills, that doesn't pay my utilities, that doesn't pay for my food, that doesn't pay for my car, but they're trying to guilt trip me for some absolute ideological insanity that justifies doing things to children that really 20 years ago we would say are unspeakable. And they're saying that, and let's be honest as well, right? I guarantee that letter was written by the mother. It was not written by the kid. I can tell you now. It's all bollocks.
Yeah.
The money is going to be enough anyway. I mean, John he's a great actor, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's like ultra well established. So he's probably got a few quid to rub together, but he probably doesn't necessarily have like a massive nest egg. So if someone comes in, 250,000 or whatever it is, it's not going to be small change to play one of the biggest characters in the Harry Potter franchise. The correct answer is to say yes, 100%. Which he did, and that was the right thing to do.
I agree.
And the child can go fuck off, and so can the mother. They can also go fuck off, because unless they're going to pay John's bills when he gets older, which they won't, get the fuck out of here. And that's what all these people, your Rachel Zeglers, your Pascals, your Black Snape, because I don't know if you've got it, but if not, we'll talk about it Saturday. He's another one. They haven't even started filming, and he's already, making J.K. Rowling look bad. What they all forget is that all these people that are behind you right now are not going to be behind you 10 years down the line when you're taking out a loan because you can't afford your groceries or your car because you don't have a job because reality put itself back in check and no one gave a fuck anymore. And all you were known for is being a trans rights supporter. That doesn't pay your bills. And John knows that. Yep. Be like John. Don't be like Black Snake.
I 100% agree with you, right? I just think it's stupid, ridiculous talking points. You're probably right about the mother being the one that wrote the letter. And like you said, at the end of the day, these people don't pay his bills. He wants to... he has, I feel he's had like a pretty illustrious career, for sure.
Yeah, didn't he? But he wouldn't...
But like...
He's not ultra well-known, is he, I suppose? Maybe
North America, he's pretty popular. But,
okay.
But that said, though, right? Like you said, he's not going to have the Tom Cruise nest egg, right?
Well, I don't think many people do, to be fair.
But like, yeah, no, he's going to want a little something to wind down with, obviously secure his family for the rest of their lives and such. At the end of the day, I wouldn't turn down the role. He's of a different ilk in a different time, for sure, where... that probably plays a factor. Where he's just, like you said, fuck you, right? I'm going to take the role. I'm going to be proud of my work. And it's a good payout at the end of the day. But just really quickly, somebody sent in a video message here. So I just want to pop that up on the screen. So just give me half a second, because sounds like they have a little something.
Have you vetted it? This isn't going to be Steve's naughty videos, is it?
Not yet. Sharon. Oh, it looks like we got our friend Michael here. Let's see what Michael has to say.
You are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender. Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
I just had to throw that in there. But
it's open to interpretation, isn't it?
That's it. Michael always got to throw in his 2 cents there.
But yes, it is always the right decision to take an extremely large check, because unless the people telling you not to do it are going to give you said money, you have no obligation to them. And you certainly don't have an obligation to these absolute mentally ill people.
On the flip side of the coin, then fair for someone to take the check, let's say to do a transgender or a gay role if they're not, and it's not something they support.
No, same thing applies. Who's paying your bills?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't the other people saying that, oh, you shouldn't play that role because you're not, whatever, you're not kind of gay or you're not this. I'm like, yeah, I'm not, but I like money, so I'm going to take this role. Thank you. See you later.
100% on that. 100%
because these people do. This is the thing. This is what it all comes down to. Ultimately, you can say that you're being heartless about it, but ultimately, no one else is going to pay your bills, and it's always these people saying, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." They're always going to be the first people to disappear once the dust settles.
Next question being that, and I personally think it's actually going to prop up the franchise, because sometimes hate watches can do a great thing. Papa South has had a lot of them over the years.
It's like a Doctor Who.
Perfect example. How do you think this whole situation affects the franchise going forward?
Don't know. They haven't even started fucking filming or anything yet, have they? I mean, we don't even know who's going to play the primary 3 roles, and if Black Snape is anything to go by, I think the internet has a lot more to worry about than that at the minute. And like I said, you've got this guy, Papa Esidu. He's already made it quite clear what kind of side of the line he's on. He's on the side of the people that isn't going to be paying his bills when he's an out-of-work actor at Starbucks in 10 years' time. They all signed a letter about how horrible this Supreme Court ruling is and how horrible JK is. So I wouldn't be surprised if mysteriously he can't take the role before they start filming. And that would be if I was kind of JK, and again, JK is a massive lefty, and people seem to forget that sometimes. Why did they cast a black Snape? Just look at her history, and you'll find that out pretty quickly. It just so happens that a lot of people agree with it on this one issue. But no, if I'm there on my yacht with a massive cigar, and I see that some absolute, by JK's level, some absolute unknown pissant is talking shit about me, and it hasn't even started filming, you better believe I'm picking up my solid gold phone that has a direct connection to Zaslav, whoever the fuck it is at Warner Brothers or HBO or whoever the fuck it is.
So and give me John Boyega.
I'm canning this fuck right now. It isn't going to take more than 10 seconds to do it. Is HBO still under WB?
Yes. No. Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Well, get that fucking idiot David Zaslav on the phone now. You're like, David, can this fuck now? And that's it. He's gone, and he can file a diversity discrimination lawsuit or something like that. Probably. JK got me sacked. Yeah.
We'll send you a check. Have a nice day.
Because you talk shit, and these people are all for kind of shouting the loudest. They just don't want to deal with the consequences of that shouting.
Agreed. 100%. Yeah, no, 100% agree with you on that one. Do you think we're seeing the wind down of the woke LGBTQ, everything else, just in franchises in general?
Yeah, nah, not yet.
Not yet.
You look at the Harry Potter TV series. I mean, there's still going to be a load of people are getting their knickers in a twist because of Black Snape. They've got no idea what could be in store with the TV series. I think they let their guard down. But overall, outside of kind of Harry Potter TV, it's still rampant. It's still the in thing. John Lithgow is being sent letters from a mother of a trans child. It's still out there. It's still the in thing. Robert De Niro, his son has came out and said, "I'm a woman."
Yep.
I've got bad news for you, brother. You're not. You're a man.
Jamie Lee Curtis is.
She's another fucking absolute mental case, and I like a lot of Jamie Curtis's stuff. And I can separate the art from the artist, but she's another one that also needs to just be like David Tennant says for everyone. She just needs to be quiet and let the
shut up and dribble.
Let the white men talk.
Yeah. And I agree. You're right. I don't think we've seen the end of it yet. I know, again, you're not into the Andor series. They do have a lesbian couple in there. I think the first
they've got all, haven't they? They've got the lesbians.
The first season they actually handled it well because it was just a look and the touch on the hand, right? Where I was just like, okay, spoiler alert, everybody. In the last 3 episodes that dropped, they were sucking face, and it was just so.
What else is there in Andor? I mean, if you said to someone, "Oh, what do you know about Andor Series 2?" Probably the first thing they'd probably say as well. They do have a penchant for assault, don't they?
Yeah, this is true. And anybody that saw
and that other scene as well, maybe you can explain. Mon Mothma dancing like out of that out of place scene in the Matrix or the Matrix Reloaded, where she's dancing around like an absolute fucking moron.
I'll be honest, I get where they were going with it. I guess to set up the scene, so to speak. Pretty much a friend of hers that has helped to fund the rebellion is about to be offed, and she's part of it, right? Not that she set it up personally, right? But it's like one of those like drink and dance my sorrows away. Did it translate well on the screen? Absolutely not.
The problem is for like if you're saying, right, let me sell to you Andor Series 2, and then maybe you'll go back and watch Series 1 or whatever. All you're hearing as a normie viewer is they've got an assault scene. They're back to the stupid lesbian Star Wars gay stuff.
Yep.
And there's this clip doing the rounds that just isn't doing it justice of just her just dancing, and it's completely out, as you say, it's completely out of context. And it's just hurting Disney. Those 3 things in a row, I'm just looking at it going, nah, no thanks. I don't need to see any more of that. I don't see any of that, actually. I don't even need to see Series 1 becomes tarnished with that kind of silly stuff. And that's what Disney isn't really realizing.
I'll still die on the hill of Series 1. Series
Fair
2,
enough.
I've now I've been 6 episodes in. It's a downgrade. Were the last 3 better? Yes. Am I'm gonna watch it till the end just because, right?
And this is the thing, isn't it? If you guys that are saying that you and like I said, I don't have a horse in the race about Andor Series 1. Fine. A lot of people say it's great. Okay, no problem. I'll take that on board. But you're not going to encourage anyone to watch Series 1 when they look at, look how negatively received, can I put it politely,
100%.
Series 2 has been received.
100%. That's not doing the first seasons any favors at all. Like they even have some campy scenes in it. Where
of course they do.
Where obviously, there's a character Cyril who works for the Empire, and his girlfriend Deidre, who is like part of the ISB, which is kind of like, we'll call it like the Empire's
yeah,
they've done the whole like, mom comes over for supper and all of that, and it just it takes you out of the whole thing, and it's just, I can't recommend season 2 to anybody at this point. But well, with that, we covered kind of everything that we're gonna talk about today. Do you want to, maybe they could do an Andor first person shooter, to go along with.
They could give it to the bright sparks of Ubisoft that did Star Wars Outlaws, couldn't they?
There you go. Absolutely. So, what does our good friend Chris from Neon Tardis have on the docket for the week?
Not a lot. If you go to the channel today and have a little look, we've had a catch up with Crossman Wrestling. We've just talked crap about wrestling, completely not serious, apart from when we're kind of complaining about it. Other than that, I don't have much else now till Saturday, where kind of yours truly will be joining us at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, whatever, in other parts of the world, and we're gonna get together and talk about Doctor Who, and we're going to talk about, we'll probably cover some of the bits and pieces from today as well. And we'll have a just laugh at the silliness. But other than that, find me on X. That's where I'm mainly at. That's where my diabolical kind of scheming kind of goes on. So.
And he does have some great takes on X, the wrestling show. I was fortunate enough to be part of it for a while there, just with time zones and that. Doesn't always work out, but definitely love being part of the Saturday crew. His links in the descriptions below. Check him out.
Nice.
He works hard at his craft. Do you know what? While you're checking out the link, hit the sub button. Let's push him over 100 and beyond from there. He definitely, his content's worth it. And if you have a chance, hop into the live stream with him. It's a ton of laughs. There's a ton of good content, and a ton of good stuff to take in. But it's a hoot and it's a riot. So,
but everybody's welcome. You know what I mean? Even if people disagree with what we say, if they enjoy things that we don't necessarily enjoy, like yourself, you enjoy some of the Doctor Who, and that's fine. We're not here to kind of crap on what people like, unlike other people.
And great point. As myself, I am it's called a Whovian. I'm pretty brand new to Who. I have some different takes from the rest of the crew who've been watching it for eons, right? And you know what? They appreciate my takes on it and that. So if you hop in the chat and you got something different to say about it, they're not gonna jump on you, because everybody got different tastes, everybody has different likes. But definitely check him out Saturday. Click on his link, subscribe, check out the wrestling show too. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, I thank you for being my very first guest on the
You're welcome, man. Whenever I can fit it in, you're gonna always welcome to have me.
Absolutely, I do appreciate it. And then, anything that's on the go for me this week. Again, I'll be joining Chris on the Neon Tardis podcast Saturday, 3 p.m. EST, 12 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. UK time. So do check it out. And then later that evening on Saturday, we'll be welcoming our newest Team South member, Brass Lantern. We're at 10:30 EST, 7:30 PST. And
what's that British time? Come on, be consistent. I'm only
about 3:30 in the morning, but also our newest team member, Brass Lantern, is from Australia, so that'll be at about 12:30
G'day, mate.
Australia time. Put a shrimp on the Barbie for her. We'll be talking
Shrimp on the Barbie.
All sorts of good nerdy stuff, and looking forward to that too. And yeah, I always like to thank our producer podcast, Patti, sound guy, Technotions, Brass Lantern, our new contributing member, the guy who does our music for us, the Resonator. All their descriptions and links are down below. Check them all out. They're great people. And we wish you safe journeys, safe passage.
Thanks everyone watching.
You bet. And thank you for joining us on the Papa Sith podcast. Podcast Pad. Technotions. Brass Lamp. The Resonator.
Papa Seth.